Hey, this is Paul Greenhill, the Wise Grappler, and I want to welcome you to my very first video email message segment. I've been kicking this idea around for a while, and I've actually never really put it into effect. I figure I've got the camera, might as well go ahead and put it into use. So this is the very first one. I don't think it'll be the last one, so I'm going to use this opportunity to, whenever I don't feel like typing, or if I feel like I've got something to say that just may take too long to read it, the chances of getting it heard is a lot better if you're just sitting there looking at a video as opposed to me trying to type out a 50-page email. What I want to talk about today is I want to give my opinions on the Super Bowl that just was played last week, which was Super Bowl 43, I believe it was. And it was a pretty good game between the Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals. Good game. I enjoyed it very much. Great ending. Just what you want from the game. One of the things that really caught my eye about the game, and the lesson that I got from it that I thought that could be applied to not only grappling but also to life for all of us, was a story about Kurt Warner. And what they did was, or how it caught my attention was, they ran a commercial where they were trying to figure out or have people vote for the best NFL story. And that wasn't the first time that they ran it. They had run that commercial maybe a week or two earlier. They hadn't seen it. But I just remember seeing it when Kurt was talking about, you know, a few years ago where he was, how he was, you know, not in the league, and how he was bagging groceries and all that kind of stuff. And then he ends up being in the Super Bowl playing. So what that made me want to do was to go back and read about Kurt Warner and find out a little bit about the journey more in detail. So when I went back and looked at it, there were some really cool things that really just caught my eye, and it said a lot about him as a person. The first thing that caught my eye was the fact that he went to a small college, northern Iowa, and he was the third quarterback on the team for three of the 4 years that he was there. And in the fourth year, he gets to start, and he's the player of the year. He doesn't get drafted by the NFL, so he goes to try out for the Packers, and he gets cut. And then after that, the guy ends up going back to his state, Iowa, and he ends up working at a grocery store. And I'm sure while he was there, he had a lot of people telling him about how his dream of being in the NFL was a waste of time and he would never get there and things like that. So then eventually he ends up playing a few years in arena football, and while he's there, he's one of the top players there, the arena football player MVP, and he gets a shot in 1998 with the Rams, but they send him to Europe to play. And usually when people go to Europe to play, that's where the development league is. So by the time he got to the Rams, I guess he must have been 27, 28. And when you think about an NFL quarterback, that's pretty late as far as age is concerned to be getting to the league and to start, you know, being considered as a top-notch quarterback. That's usually, I guess, you're kind of on the way up. You've been in the league a few years if you consider quarterbacks coming out of college at 21, 22. So by the time he's 27, 28, he's been in the league 5 or 6 years. So if he's still around, he's learned the game quite a bit, and this is probably the best time. You know, Warner's showing up, and when he shows up after his year in Europe, which is in '99, he's a backup. Then the starter for the Rams, Trent Green, goes down, and Warner's in, and they end up going to the Super Bowl that year. He's not only the MVP, the league MVP, but he's also the Super Bowl MVP. And there's like only 6 other guys that have done that in the history of the football game. And as I kept reading about the story, I just kept thinking to myself, wow, what kind of mental toughness and mindset did he have to be able to endure all the down parts of the whole journey, right? From the being on the bench for 3 years and then blowing up and being the best one on his team in college, working at that grocery store, getting cut by the Packers, playing arena football, particularly when arena football wasn't that popular in the late 90s, getting shipped off to Europe to play in a development league for guys who may not make it in the league. then being brought in as a low-paid free agent as a backup. And then when it was his time to perform, he seized it. He never gave it up. But the journey doesn't end there, which is what's so cool about it. So, 99, he wins the Super Bowl. 2000, he has a pretty good year, but they don't make it. And 2001, they get back to the Super Bowl, but he loses. And after that, the injuries start happening. And from 2002 on, his career starts to start going down. His numbers are going down. He's not as productive as he used to be. And you start hearing people talk more and more about how he's old and he's washed up and stuff like that. He goes to a couple of other teams, I think the Giants in Arizona. And because of his performance, he's getting put into that old, washed up backup kind of role. Particularly with the Cardinals, when they go out and draft this kid Leinart, pay him all this money, and now there's a battle between Leinart, the kid that we spent millions of dollars in, and Warner, who now all of a sudden back in the backup role, he's reemerged again, and he's outplaying the kid. And then for this past season, the 2008 season, Leinart was supposed to be the starter, and once again, the old 38-year-old guy takes his team to the playoffs. Forget the playoffs, the Super Bowl. And they came this close to winning. And again, I'm thinking more mental toughness to be able to go through that nosedive in the career where everyone's crushing him, talking about how he's past his prime, how he's washed up and all this stuff, and he's still able to deal with it. I mean, that kind of mental toughness is something that everyone should have, on or off the mat, because a person who thinks like that, there's nothing put in front of them that they can't do. And all too often, whether it's in grappling or outside the ring, outside the mats, people quit on themselves just too early, too soon, too often. Let other people get in their ear, tell them what they can and they can't do. Let them laugh at their dreams, at their hopes. And that was the whole reason why I created the Wise Grappler thing. How many OGs have been told that they're too old to be on the mat, they're too slow, they're too fat, they're too whatever. There's always somebody there, whether they're an intentional hater or an unintentional hater, to tell you what you can't do. And I'm sure when Kurt was in there bagging groceries at their grocery store, people were laughing at him when he said he was going to make it to the NFL. And now if you talk to any of those people now, they don't remember that. But to bring it to each of us, if you can't get to the gym every day to train, if you want to be a black belt, if you're overweight, if you're not as tough as you want to be, all the things that say that you can't do that, if you really want it in your heart, you can achieve anything that you want to achieve, on the mat or off the mat. And I hope that this message really gets through, because I think far too often there are just so many techniques, so many different things that really don't help up here. And there's probably some people watching my video now thinking, oh man, he's just running his mouth. I thought he's going to show some cool kind of grip or something like that. Well, the cool kind of grip isn't going to help your head up here, okay? You need to get your head right, and then everything else will fall into place. And as far as Kurt Warner's concerned, he's not a grappler, but he definitely has the OG mindset that I admire the hell out of. And if I could give that mindset to everybody that I knew, everyone that's on my mailing list and then the OG Nation, he would be a great example. So as far as I'm concerned, he is an OG. That's enough for tonight. I think I've run my mouth long enough, and I'm probably approaching that 4 to 5 minute threshold where people are getting tired of looking at my face. So to wrap it up, if you don't know a lot about Kurt Warner, just go on to Wikipedia and read it for yourself. I'm telling you, you'll be impressed. And if that guy could do that with all of the lows that he had in his life, there's nothing that you can't do with all the lows that you have in your path. So for me, the Wise Grappler, talk to you next time.